everyone, it's Jennifer from Flux. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited you're here. We have a fun update, the Granny Stashdown Challenge Spring Edition. If this is your first time joining us for the Granny Stashdown Challenge, this is a fun project we work on all year long where we collect all kinds of yarn scraps, as you can see here in my giant bin. And I add them to this granny square and it grows and grows and grows. And by the end of the year, we have a big granny square blanket and you can give this as a gift. You can donate it to charity and it's so thick and squishy. It could even be a mat or a rug or something like that. So a couple of times a year, like usually once a season, we had one, we kind of kicked it off in the winter at the beginning of the year. So now that it's spring, we're going to do a spring update. We'll do one in the summer and one in the fall. So I have all this scrap yarn and what I do is I collect it in this bin. Anytime I have a project where there's a little bit of yarn left, I just throw it in the bin and then I incorporate it into this square. So I'll share the link down below for the project where we talked about the supplies, the hook and everything, so you can get kind of like the overview of the project and also the pattern for the granny square if you're not familiar on how to make one. And then you'll be able to jump right in. Now, lots of you are working on this project right now and have been telling me about it, and I've heard some really neat ideas. So since our last Granny Stashdown Challenge video, I'm going to share some ideas that I've heard since then. The first idea someone had is that, so my theme, just as a side note, is anything goes. As you can see, it's all different colors. I'm holding multiple strands. I have tons of different yarn and my goal is just to kind of incorporate all the yarn. But some people have been doing separate bins, which I think is really interesting. So if you have all different shades of pink, for example, they're like separating the yarn. So you might have like a neutral bin and a bright bin or one color you're focusing on to have more of a themed stash down blanket, which is really exciting. A lot of you are doing anything goes like this. And so no two blankets are alike. They're all different. They all look different. And it's really fun to see what everybody comes up with. So this one, as you can see here, let me find the other end of it, is now the loop's kind of falling through because it's been in this bin, but I'm holding 4 strands of yarn together. And as you can see, all these different colors are playing out. And you can see from my strand that I have all different weights of yarn too. So this is super bulky. This is probably more of like a sport weight and then some worsted weight yarn. And then as I do each round and I run out of yarn, for example, you can see that this white yarn has run out and I just tied the green yarn right onto that. And as I crochet, so as I do this next round here, I'm going to be crocheting it in tails and everything. So it all gets incorporated because you can imagine if you don't do that, the amount of tails that you'll have. And then as you can see, this one I crocheted right into it and it just needs to be snipped later and that's it. So I'm using 4 strands of yarn, all different weights, super bulky. This is a worsted weight yarn. And so you can see the thickness changes, the color changes and everything. And I'm using a 12mm P crochet hook, a very large hook for this. And the result is this really amazingly interesting blanket that is thick, warm and squishy and it's lots and lots of fun to make. I know a lot of you really enjoy this project. So if you haven't joined us yet, definitely check out the link below. You can see all the overview, the supplies, kind of the technique that we do, different tips and things like that. I like to, sometimes I rewind the yarn if it's getting a little tangly. There are a couple of tangly yarn balls in my bin right now. I'll probably rewind into a neater ball just to keep it all very manageable because working with 4 strands of scrap yarn can get pretty tangly. So rewinding it into a ball was a tip that someone shared with us as well, which I thought was really interesting and super duper helpful. So check that out. I'll be sharing another update over the summer, so that'll be our next one. Now it's a little bit bigger than when I first shared at the beginning of the year. It's grown a little bit, as you can see in this picture, that's kind of how it looked like when we started. And it's grown a little bit, but I plan on making more rounds of this and make it actually a blanket size. So you can also, like I mentioned before, give this as a gift. You can give it to charity. I've donated mine over the years. There are local shelters, there are local animal shelters that all really appreciate this stuff. My tip is anytime you're donating something to charity, just kind of, you might want to reach out to them first and just see if they're accepting things first. So that is it for our spring Granny Stashdown Challenge. Share down below if you are making this project or if you're planning on it, if you want to join us too. I will see you in the next video, and happy Stashdown crocheting. Bye everyone!